of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. First item on our agenda is Mark Milbrandt and Tom Schmidt to talk about courthouse security.
And Scott and Paul and whoever else might be here.
Good morning, Mark. Paul.
All hands on deck.
Judy.
Good morning, guys.
Hail, the group's all here.
Please say Eleanor, Shelley, Willie, Billy, Sammy, Joey, Peter, Harry, Tommy, and David. Come on, you had to watch Captain 11.
So what can you tell us about court security? Where are we at, or what are your thoughts?
Well, that's what we're here for. I know we presented, and I want to know what you guys feel and how you want us to proceed. If we're good to go, or any suggestions or any other ideas that you might have.
Well, I don't know if we found the money yet.
That's why I'm here, to see where February's coming up pretty quick.
On that note, how do you feel about having two non-certified and one certified? Just trying to keep the cost down as much as possible. Would that work?
Well,
at least initially, to give it a try.
I guess we look at where it's going to be on second floor. We have people come up the steps, then you're going to have people coming out of the elevator. And you're going to have, I would say, when you check somebody, you want somebody that's certified.
Okay.
You know, and then at the x-ray machine where you have it come in where they can just view it, have somebody that's not certified. So we can try anything you want. I mean, you know, it's a new ballgame for us.
I'm just wondering if you thought that might work.
I think one of the things we had talked about is some policy, and Susan's here, maybe she can answer this. Right now, are the courtrooms locked when they're not in session?
No.
I think that's one thing we can do to kind of make things safer up there, is have a policy where if you're not using it, nobody's in it, lock those courtrooms, because you're really eliminating any dangers of one of the things that one of the judges had brought up. Well, we have to have this security force there because a person could come at any time and plant something in one of these courtrooms. So I think that, and that leads to us not needing, like, I think there's a few days where they go to conferences and different things where there's nothing going on up there.
Yep.
You wouldn't have to have those people stationed there if all those rooms are locked.
Don't we have, what do we have locked up there, Paul? Did you?
Fob-wise, we just have third floor to the judge's chambers.
So all the judges'
And
chambers are
then
locked?
to Porch's office and to your old admin, no, that's just Porch's office.
And then the clerk of courts.
And then the clerk of courts.
And we're actually working on getting them, the court and men an entrance, which will eventually, it wasn't in the grant, but it'll be locked, but eventually, whatever you guys decide, you can put fobs in.
So if the security locked and unlocked the courtrooms, that would save us some time, some cost to the county.
No, definitely. There's no doubt.
Do you think there would be a problem with that, Susan? Is there any reason we can't keep those locked when it's not in session?
As long as our people have the access, which I'm sure they will have.
Just program the fobs?
Because they're used for marriages, when our court magistrates perform marriages. If the courtrooms are not in use, the access, of course, would have to be granted for that purpose. But I don't see a problem with them as long as we have the access. My only concern would be is how is it going to work on those days that we have court? If you have them in lockdown when we're not using them, if we go in and open up a door for longer than a certain period of time, are we going to be setting off alarms?
No, that can all be scheduled and controlled, man.
Okay.
Because we have these doors during Tuesday morning are free and clear because the commission's an open meeting. The rest of the time they're locked and secured.
So, but what do we do on those days when we have a jury trial, a week-long jury trial, and initially a normal work week would say that courtroom is not in session on Tuesday. But a week-long jury trial, that courtroom is in session on Tuesday. Are we going to have to call and schedule every
No, we'll
time?
do everything with a double swipe unlock. We'll press permission to do it.
Okay.
And for marriages and stuff, can't they bring the people in through the judge's entrance?
No, we don't take public back into those areas.
That's
Okay.
why we lock that down.
But then we could have a fob so that they could go in and lock it behind them.
But we still have to change this on the old cell fobs up there, the readers. I have them in my office. We just haven't changed them until we made a decision on what we're gonna do security-wise up there.
You have to keep in mind that all the courtrooms are gonna be behind security anyways.
Yeah.
So to me, that's one thing we need to start drafting some policy, because it's silly to have a force of 2 to 3 people sitting there if none of those courtrooms are being used. So I think that's one thing we need to work on. The other thing I just kind of wondered about was, can we put a station up there where some of your, rather than having the 2 certified, maybe there's 1 certified and then trade off with some, I know this is going to be tough, it's something new for all of us, but can we have a workstation up there with a computer, and that certified person can be doing other stuff while they're sitting there? Because it's not going to be packed the entire time with a big line of people. I can foresee it being busy between when people are coming up there, but then I think there's going to be some downtime, that maybe there could be, instead of the 2 full-time certified deputies, we have 1 that kind of oversees it, and then we get some part-time help with, I don't know, other folks that are down in the jail or...
I think you want to be real careful about multitasking at a security station.
Mhm.
Either you're doing security or you're doing
Other stuff.
And if you're distracted, then people are walking by you. I just think if it's security, then make it security.
Mhm.
That's my opinion.
Sure, and you're going to have those non-certified there the whole time too. So
Correct.
we're talking additional people. Scott, can you come talk a little bit? You said there might be another grant available.
The Homeland Security Grant is open through January 16th, I believe, 15th or 16th. I was doing a little looking, you know, we can't do any construction, cameras, anything like that, no software, computers, can't purchase anything like that.
What about access control?
We could do access control, again, you know, that'd be no different than what we're doing right now with the rest of the facility.
Just to do the elevator is about $4,500
Okay.
to take control of that elevator and stop it at 2nd floor and then pass up with a fob from that point. So if we could get that in, and the rest of the doors that aren't fobbed, we could get in on the access control. And that, yeah, we're gonna have to write fast, so that's next Tuesday, isn't it?
What's that?
It's due by next Tuesday?
February.
Oh, February 16th.
Oh,
February.
I'm sorry.
Right.
So we need to get you those costs and estimates and all the access control anyway.
That'd be good. We can get some of that cost covered.
Can I interject here for a moment and break into your conversation? In terms of your security going up on the 2nd floor, has anybody ever been up there on a Monday morning with juvenile court? And the amount of people that we have up there. That foyer is, sometimes we have people sitting in the stairwell waiting to get into Judge Portra's juvenile courtroom. By putting us on 2nd floor, we're compromising the amount of space that we have for those people, in addition to the amount of people that are at the clerk's window. Another concern that I don't know if it's been brought to the table is our court service officers who are still down on the 1st floor. Mind you, we have utilized as much of our space in all of those offices, but those offices have one way in and one way out. We're putting those people in a position with some of those probation clients are coming in, not knowing what they may be carrying underneath those coats. And I've seen kids come into the courtroom that have got throwing items on them, and they're not frisbees. They're jagged-edged swords. They're pocket size. I would hope and ask that you take that into consideration when you're talking about where you're going to put the security, because we're not talking just our level of security up on the 2nd and 3rd floor. We're talking about our security for our court service officers as well. And I think they're just as important. And it's not just for the courtroom and the UJF personnel. I think it's for all of the people that are entering into the building.
And the only way to solve that is limit it to one entrance. Everything else is locked down. So that's the only way you can address that issue.
Well, we've just kind of talked about that before. Bring it down on the 1st floor, do some extensive remodeling, and then check everybody. And then you think you've got lines now. You have everybody coming in that has to be checked. You know, so it's 2 sides of the argument, you know. If you're going to protect state employees, and that's what we brought up so far, if you're going to make it one entrance, then you're going to be doing this for all the employees, county and state, you know, and like I say, people are gonna lose their freedom, they're gonna take longer wait lines, you know, so it's whichever direction you guys wanna go.
And you know, we also discussed this entrance right here, but all this stuff.
And you also have to think about your handicapped people too. Say they're going over to the sheriff's office, do they have to start here and then work their way down there? I mean,
Well,
you've got a lot of
you also gotta
difficulties.
take it's a motor registration place. You're gonna have a mess come voter day, because, I mean, you're gonna have lines out to the street if you're gonna do that out here with voters, I mean. And the other thing is, the clerk of courts, with people paying fines and all the stuff up there, those all gotta go through the process. It'll be a zoo. I mean, you're gonna slow that whole process down to no end, and I don't know if there's a good fix, but I can't see it working, making a secure entrance with a voter registration place. We'd have to move that, because on that day, if you're gonna screen, if you're gonna screen everybody, you'd have to screen every voter that came through this place to be efficient.
The only other way is to go and divide the building into 3 parts. You got the annex, court in the middle, sheriff on the other side. Yeah, all court business gonna have to come in the south doors to security. But that leaves us with the VSO in the middle of that center section. What do we do with them? Because we're showing office space now.
The focus with us at the time was the judges wanted security for the courtrooms,
Right.
and now it's expanded, so. I don't know if that's what they want, apparently, but
Well, the order that they sent to us said that they wanted the courtroom secured, so at this point,
That's where we have to
I think
send
that's
it.
where we need to
That's what we're
focus, that's what we
looking
need to focus
That's where we need to
on.
focus, yeah.
and that was just a suggestion on the second floor, and there's juvenile court, can't they have court Monday, Wednesday, and Friday or something? Do they have to have it just one day,
They do, they have it every day.
every day? So Monday's busier than the rest?
Seems to be the weekends are,
Maybe they need to have it in the morning and after, I don't know. I mean, we should probably have to look at that too. There is not much space up there.
I think there has to be a little give and take. Do we need to go ahead with this? Because when did they tell, the judges say they
I
wanted
believe
this
it's
done?
February 5th.
So we should need to make a decision today about whether we're going to do what we were talking here with up on Second, or do we throw the whole plan out and start all over again?
It depends
I'm
on...
just asking.
Well, it depends on what they're focused in on.
We have your number as far as personnel.
Personnel, yeah.
But then there's Judy's side of the remodeling project, if you're gonna do something with the steps as far as traffic up and down.
that would be just,
There wouldn't,
there wouldn't be, you just have, they would be going up the one area and then having to come down the other area, the other side of the steps. But that's gonna, you know, with Mark's people up there, they're the ones that are gonna have to be explaining that, and, you know, it's the only part that's coming out of our, would be, you know, the maintenance budget per se, would be getting the power and the elevator taken care of.
Can we have the elevator revamped by February 5th? Reprogrammed?
if Coney can get the parts quick enough.
that's something we can discuss with the judge. I'm sure they're a little flexible,
Sure.
realizing that we're trying to get this...
And if they expend the money first and then apply for it, that's usually not gonna work, is it?
And that money will be not till 2019, this grant. So
Oh.
we're at least a year out.
I mean, we were trying to get it to where if a person wanted to walk up and go to the clerk of courts and pay a fine, they could go buy it. Security would do that.
Right.
Yep.
Same thing with, you know, so we had a flow there. And if somebody then needed to go to court on the second floor or up to the third floor, and come in, they'd be escorted, be checked through to go upstairs or to go right into, to the porter's apartment.
I think that's, we should go ahead.
I think so too. That's the focus that was originally
Which order to do.
ordered.
On second floor.
Yep.
Yep.
I think we need to have 2 certified, I guess. No extra money.
Well, it's
$11,000.
it's something that you're gonna have sick days, you're gonna have holidays, you're gonna have vacation, you're gonna have, you know, whatever, and I'm trying to get, it'd be nice to have 2 dedicated, and that way if there's something on third floor, judge says, you know, I got an issue up here, that person can go up there and check it out, you know, but it's your decision ultimately, but whatever you wanna try, you know, we can always change it too if we need to.
Exactly, I think we should go ahead and try this, and see how it goes.
Try the one,
No, I think we should go ahead and try the two, I think they need
Two
to.
Certified and a
paperwork.
third
It's
non?
not, you know,
Do we need to put the
for the
secure,
total cost, it isn't that much more bigger percentage.
you want the locked courtrooms then too?
I think that should be a
And-
policy.
Yeah, I think that should be, I agree.
Why don't you make that motion?
Okay, I will.
I second it.
We have a motion to secure the courtrooms by having them locked when not in use from Tom Fishback, and a second by Nancy.
And go ahead and hire the
And go ahead and include that too.
And
the two certified.
Authorize advertising for 2 certified and 1
and
non-certified.
also in the motion to add for 2 certifieds and 1 non-certified.
Mhm.
And ask the sheriff to,
Any discussion in regards to the motion?
I do have a question. These positions will be that of eventually a certified deputy and the same rate of pay as a certified deputy?
This is what you gave us?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Those are based off of
Yeah.
the
I
average.
have a motion off of what you give us here.
Yep. And if we get a guy that's, you know, that's the mid-range. Now, if we get somebody that's interested in the jail that's certified now that wants to do something like that, it's going to be higher.
Okay.
But then we'll have to hire somebody in the jail, which will be back to Oregon. Sure. So it'll be a trade-off, pretty much.
We just have to find the money.
Make sure.
That's why we're going to see what we want to do.
I guess I would be opposed to the motion just because I think you can always add staff if it's not working later. I'd be more comfortable doing 1 certified deputy and a non-certified. I understand where the motion's coming from and trying to just get this done and taken care of. But I'm not comfortable when a 2018 budget's already been set where we're going to find this money. I think we need to also have a conversation. It's not just going to come from nowhere. We've got to cut somewhere or raise taxes. And are we ready to have that conversation?
I think we have to look at the budgets that we're affecting, that are affected by this, and first draw from there, and then we're going to have to reduce some other budgets somewhere along the line.
So I guess I would, you know, we can...
Well, it's
vote-
court ordered, so I don't think we have a choice here.
So,
I guess it would basically boil down to you as, in the sheriff's department, as a trial, could you get by with a certified and 2 non to start in 6 months, look at it and see how it's going? Because I'm just like you, it's new to you, it's new to us. I mean, we don't know how it's going to flow or what's going to happen at that point.
What I see now, so far, when Tom and I talked, is what's going to happen is we're going to have deputies that should be out in the field that are going to go up there and have to relieve people. So we're already going to rely on our staff to be up there. And all of a sudden, then we don't have somebody to respond to something. That's why I figured maybe having 2 on there would work better, because if I don't, and then all of a sudden we have to use our resources in the jail or in the deputy's position to go up there, because it's going to happen sometimes. Somebody's going to call in sick or whatever, and we're not going to be able to schedule somebody. An on-duty deputy's probably going to have to be there.
so
And I
So-
think it's
limiting
important...
the protection then of the taxpayers in general, if we
Well,
only use 1, as you're saying?
It's, you know, what happens
Yeah.
now, where, you know, if we have to be in court, thankfully the courts tell us in the, ahead of time, so we can hire people that come in on overtime, so that's a bigger cost, because we have to have them stationed up there, and we still have to do our daily duty.
I think I understand where you're coming from.
Then if we go to 2 certifieds, is there, for the non-certifieds, can we look at some part-time help and advertise it that way?
Definitely look at
And
part-time
maybe
help. It's
look
gonna-
at, rather than hiring 2 non-certifieds, go 2 certifieds and look at some part-time help, or maybe 1 full certified. I mean, there's a mix and match that could be done here. I mean,
And that's-
I understand your concern with the
Yeah.
certifieds.
And
Your
that's-
non-certifieds, I think we can probably work around them.
Yeah, and that's what we were looking at part-time anyway, because we're gonna have to have a lot of different part-time people. Because you're gonna have to set, because actually what we figure, if a person comes in at 7:30, close everything in there, as a policy for other areas, security that I've seen, I've read, they open it up, and then, of course, you close after 5, which is like at 5:15, make sure everybody's gone, check and make sure everything's out of there. At 5:30 sometimes, so that's an 11-hour day, you know, sometimes, and that way some part-time people can fill in to do that. Matter of fact, I just talked to one of our part-time that was a reserve officer with the PD this morning and said, hey, I need to talk to you about this, I'm interested. So we got some people that could go part-time that we are going to need to be, you know. I mean,
Susan, when it comes to the court schedules, are they pretty much booked all day from 9 to 5, or is there days that are less? Or, I mean, see, where I'm going with that is, it's hard to hire 2 certified people, and if court's done at 2 o'clock that day, which I don't know if that happens ever, you've got 2 certified people you're paying big dollars for, and what are they doing? I mean, I guess, is there some kind of a scheduling that if the courtrooms are locked and court is done at 3 that day, and those deputies haven't had their hours in, if they're certified, is there a place you can put them? I guess that's the flow that has to be worked out as far as court services versus our employees that are protecting this deal. And I don't know the scheduling, I'll be the first to admit that, but I think there's got to be some flexibility in that.
The schedules are very volatile. And I think Chris could vouch for that as well. We may have a 3-day jury trial scheduled to start next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Friday, that might change totally. We sometimes have a whole afternoon that opens up in the morning, for an example. One of the judges may have an afternoon hearing, 4 hours. At 10 o'clock this morning, that may all change. Might be open this afternoon, doesn't mean that somewhere along the way last night, be it a juvenile or somebody that we have to bring in, that we have to have a detention hearing on. That 3-hour block is now going to get used for an initial appearance, a bond hearing, whatever the case may be. It's so volatile. Can I say that we run from 8 to 5 with a full schedule? We run from 8 to 5, but that schedule is like a roller coaster ride some days.
So do the security, would they have access to that schedule on a daily basis early in the morning?
They do now. They come
Okay.
up and get copies of the calendars.
So then at that point in time, the sheriff's department could find out at 3 o'clock the courthouse is locked, it's shut down, they could move those deputies.
I don't think the court would be opposed to those deputies not being there if court isn't in session.
That was where I was going with that.
Exactly.
My
You
only
know.
concern with that, Doug, and I think that would be fine, my only concern is there's a day or two a week where you get a call at 3 o'clock and we're going to have a 4 o'clock hearing, so then we're scrambling to get those deputies back here. But maybe that's the give and take you have to have. But that happens. I mean, it just happened yesterday.
I understand that, but I hate to pay people just to sit there and watch the clock go around.
Right. Well, and if Mark needs them to do something different, you know, I know Tom said, you know, if they're going to be there, they need to focus on what they're doing. But if there's a 2 or 3 hour block in there, if there's nothing on our calendars, or even an hour block, I don't know that anybody's opposed to them leaving for that hour. That courtroom, if they're going to lock that courtroom, I guess it depends who's going to be in charge of coming and going there.
And that's definitely going to happen where you have an hour to 3 hour block where nothing's going on.
But they need to be available in case
Yeah.
something happens on
They
the
can't
spur of the
say,
moment.
you
Yep.
don't send them home and say, go by, we'll come back, and we'll put you back on the time clock. That's not very fair to employees.
Well, I think you, as the sheriff's department, would probably be able to monitor that. I mean, if something came up at 3, do you need both certifieds there at that particular hearing? Can you send one up at one time? I mean, that's all something you're gonna have to play with. I mean, I
Depends on
don't...
the hearing who it is, too.
Right, I mean, it depends on what size it is and how severe it is, and
Well, we'll do the best that we can. I mean, whatever you give us, and we'll have to play it by ear, I guess. I mean, try to do. It's a new ballgame for us.
I was gonna say, whatever we do,
We have
it's
to
all
learn
new to
by this.
everybody.
Well, and you'd mentioned having to pull one off the street if we don't have this, and the judges, we've had a lot of conversations about the budget constraints the county's under, and the judges are well aware of that. They've also, you know, they've sent down this regardless, so obviously the priority is securing this courthouse. So if we pull one off the street, that's their preference. So, I understand where the motion is, and if that's what we pass, I'm with you, but I'll be voting against it. I just think we need to start small.
Make a substitute motion if you want.
Vote against this one first.
well, we have a motion on the floor to hire 2 certified, and at this time, the non-certified would be part-time, according to what the sheriff feels would be needed. Is that correct?
And to
And-
also
and
lock
lock
the
the
courtrooms.
And secure the courtrooms by locking them.
Right, so the certified is part-time?
No.
Yes.
I have a question on the courtroom lock.
Certified with full-time.
Yeah, okay, now we have a question on the courtroom locking.
The only way to tell if they're locked is to put the electronic locks on them, the door sensors. Do you want me to get that number together
Part-time
just
or
for the
full-time?
courtroom? I think we have
It's
3
full-time,
doors
right.
for the courtroom that are
Certified.
for the public.
2 certified full-time.
And how about non-certified?
There'll be 3 doors
I-
and And then the elevator?
I guess to answer that, I guess,
Full-time.
it sounds like the commission has agreed to change the policy to secure the courtrooms for
Well, that's
locking
gonna be
them.
part-time and-
That's not what we're gonna do, is change the policy.
And if we're fobbing everything else, it only makes sense that they would be fobbed too.
So I guess to answer your question, I guess it sounds like they are going to be locked.
Okay, it's 2 full-time deputies, certified deputies, and 1 full-time non-certified?
Right, plus we're gonna have, because it's like 11-hour day, we'll have to have part-time too,
Yeah, you have to have
you
part-time.
know, so.
So it's 1 non-certified employee and some part-time certified
Right.
employees.
So you're adding
No,
part-time
that's
certified?
not right.
Well, that's what I'm clarifying.
Yeah, he said 2 full-time deputies that are certified
Correct.
and 1 full-time
Non-certified.
non-certified.
Plus
That's what the motion
part-time.
was, right?
Right,
Certified.
what we're gonna have to do is to fill
Or
in
you
there.
could use,
With part-time down the
you
road.
could use part-time, non-certified,
Right.
instead of the full-time. Or
Well,
you did in addition
I think you're
to.
gonna have somebody, especially with that x-ray machine, that's gonna have to be trained,
Yeah.
because it has to be serviced, and you're gonna have somebody oversee it, and I think that would be a full-time, non-certified position.
How many
And
employees are
then,
you?
that way, if
2 certified, 1 non-certified, and there'll have to be some part-time non-certified to fill in for sick, and because the guy's non-certified, you're not gonna have certified running the machines and stuff, so you're gonna have some part-time non-certified.
So for backup.
So how many new employees are you talking?
How many?
3 for sure, and I don't know if we're talking part-time 1, or,
it's hard to say, I mean, you know, you're looking at a day from 7:30 in the morning till probably 5:50 or 5:30 at night, and, you know, you got one that's probably gonna work 4 10-hour days, and then you're probably gonna have a part-time come in the morning and maybe in the afternoon or what have you, and it's something
and
we'll
we
deal with the courts
stated the
too.
fact that we have 2 full-time certified, 1 full-time non-certified, and the part-time to be determined by the commission and the sheriff department at a later date.
That's
That's,
good.
you know, because we're just gonna have to test it and see what's the best way to do it.
We're learning.
It is, it's a whole learning process for everybody.
Okay, does everybody understand the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, Hanson,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Fishback,
Aye.
Kipley,
No.
Feldheim.
Aye.
Well, they shouldn't need cars.
Take the money
we're already saving.
It's a break.
So we'll do the best that we can with it and try to keep the cost down and
It's an
see.
experiment.
Thanks for getting the numbers together.
Are we still pushing forward for that date, or are you gonna try and get that?
I don't think we have a choice.
Well,
I think we do have a choice. I think working with Judge Porter, he's been
He's been
very
flexible.
reasonable.
Okay.
I think as long as we're working on getting people hired, I think they're pretty flexible.
Good.
So you could continue with the fobbing of the courthouse and locking that down and start that process.
And the elevators,
And the elevator, start with that.
electrical.
Do you want me to, get you a cost estimate and email it to you for approval, or at least so you know what we're
Well,
spending?
I
think we
think at
should-
least we should know what it is going to be.
Can we talk a little bit about where the money's coming from now? Max, how does that work? If we were to not do nothing today, would it just come out of contingency at the end of the year?
Depending on the other budgets. Like this year, you know, other budgets needed the contingency.
Because I would feel more comfortable taking reevaluating the budget we already have. I know there's not a lot of places we can cut, but I'm not going to be supportive of raising taxes for something like this. I think one area that I had mentioned in the past was Paul hasn't bought the equipment for the Wi-Fi at the fairground.
Correct.
The $100,000 between the 2 budgets that we allocated it to, so that's one place that we could move some money, and maybe down the road we can look at that again, but if this is a necessity, I would be more comfortable moving some funds, and I'd make that motion to don't buy that equipment, shift the $100,000 to this instead.
That's not quite half of what we're going to need.
Well, we're working on it. You got another area? Throw it out there.
Well, I don't know, what does the court system, you're getting books and CDs. Can we get rid of some of that? That's 20,000.
I just sent Max, we're discontinuing our Northwest Reporter Second, which is a $5,000 annual fee, about $5,900. Other than that, the only other thing that we have up there are the computer kiosks with the Westlaw on it that all the attorneys access.
Chris is looking at me daring me to have to say that.
Because we talked about that with the licensee that go with that and how many you can put on there. But when you look at the chart of the amount of attorneys that are out there, I don't think you can disagree that there are a lot of outside attorneys.
A lot of outside attorneys.
Do you charge a fee for that?
Here's the thing, and this goes back like 2 years ago, a year ago, that we were dealing with Westlaw. If I was a county commissioner, I would feel uncomfortable providing a private attorney, a civil divorce attorney, that has nothing to do with the county, that we're not appointed, that they're not getting appointed by a judge on a criminal case. I would feel uncomfortable paying for their Westlaw attorneys, because their clients are paying them $200 an hour to represent them. But the county's paying for them to have a Westlaw attorney to go up and do legal research.
Right.
Now, most firms in town have their own at their offices because they're paying to come over here and do it. But a lot of people that are private attorneys use that for private purposes that have nothing to do with county appointments.
Can we charge for that?
I don't think it would work with Westlaw to charge for it. And maybe Paul knows more about that, but everybody has just one login and they get on and research and then they can write down their time. So I don't know if you can individually charge for it, but what I'm saying is I don't know if I know we're not legally obligated to provide that.
Well, the assessor's office, we pay a fee there to use their information.
I know that.
I pay $300 or $350 a year just to use it.
Well, and the county gets money back from our law library fund. And you'd have to ask Max how much you're getting every year from the state in terms of the law library.
That's quite a
They
bit.
keep the law library high.
About $600-700 a month, maybe.
I know we need to replace computers up there.
And we had looked into different pricing, I think all three of us were looking into it at one point, because we were kicking around ideas about, my office uses it all the time, but we have to run up to the law library to use it. We were trying to figure out if it was cheaper to have one kiosk or one login for our office, but the way Westlaw has it set up, it's a nightmare.
You can't do it from, like I can access it from my home.
I do, to move the $100,000.
But that's something we could look into and try to get a couple $1,000 back here and there.
Well, every little bit's gonna help. I was so thinking more in the tens of thousands. We got about $150,000 more to come up with.
Well, I guess I would add to that motion that I have currently on the table that we will be reviewing all budgets. But I do want to keep that $100,000. Just, I know Paul's been gracious enough to say, admit he hasn't bought any of the equipment and he's willing to hold off on that, but that's a big chunk of it. So,
I think so too.
and this is ongoing, so it's not like it's just going to be this year we got to find it. It's going to keep going. So I would make that motion.
I
Just
second it for you.
Motion from Kipley, second by Hanson to use the $100 that was for Wi-Fi at the fairgrounds.
100,000.
100,000.
We got a long way to go.
Yeah, further.
And to review all the county's budgets to see if there's any other source of extra income we can come up with. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Well, that means hitting the highway fund.
I was gonna say, I sure hate to take it out of the fixing the roads.
Well, thank you guys. I know this isn't easy in your world, so
We'll do what we can.
good information for us.
So
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and start the advertisement for 2 certifieds and a non-certified.
And let's,
Pardon me?
I was going to say, let's do a little brainstorm and look up there again if there's anything that would qualify for that grant. I know it's not here till 2019, but if there's some way to divert the flow of traffic together into one spot from the elevator and the steps, you know, whether it be some type of...
Turnstile or something.
Well, and I think a lot of our pedestrian traffic can be controlled just by those ropes and
Ribbon thingy?
things, bullets, whatever they call them. But I think, again, that's probably why you would want 2 certified, because it's one thing that somebody would respond to a security person differently than they would respond to a certified person.
Yeah.
And usually compliance is really nice if you have the ability to back that up.
Sure.
So we'll start looking for staff.
And I won't complain on this when you guys have your non-certified in sheriff's office T-shirts or whatever for your,
Well, and for the polo
clothing
shirts,
policy. These
yeah.
folks should have
Yeah.
something that identifies them.
And they will. And I think for the non-certified, the polo identifying them as Brown County employees would be sufficient. And the other ones will be in full uniform. Just, if you're going to want to project that power, they need to be addressed like that. So,
Thank you for your help.
oh, okay.
Thank you, everyone, and it'll be a process, but we'll get through it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Run a little late, but our next item, Judy Doss, building superintendent, to discuss contracts.
Judy?
Do we need an exec for that, or?
No, it's just contracts I'm gonna have you sign,
Okay.
unless you guys wanna discuss some of them, however you wanted to read.
These are contracts that have been ongoing over the years.
Yep.
Nothing to do with bids or anything like that?
Nope.
Okay.
I have a couple of
Should be
things I
all right
want
with
to talk
that,
about
exactly.
into the bids, but, the first one I have is from, inspection agreement for a year. I have Dakota Pump come in twice, spring and fall, and, go through the motor and everything on the lift station to keep that going, because I rather would do that than have it, something happen to the motor and then we're down with a lift station, which would be using those sewers. No schools. So, that's, the total cost is $900 a year,
And they do that twice?
twice, spring and fall.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve signing the contract.
Second. Motion by Sutton, second by Fishback, to approve the, what was the name?
Dakota Pump.
Dakota Pump to service the
Lift station.
lift station. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Also, I have the Honeywell Building Solutions contract that we have, and they take care of the boilers and all our air handlers, you know, all the controls on all our equipment. We have some pneumatics, which is over in the jail, and that's the new area, and they come in and they, you know, go through all those and look at them and do everything to them. That one for a year is $4,968.22.
Is that for service only?
They'll come, if we have an issue, I call, they come.
I entertain a motion to accept the Honeywell contract to service our air exchangers and all our pneumatics.
Move it. Second.
Moved by Hanson, second by Kipling. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then I have another one from Honeywell, and it does all the pneumatics. And that's a whole different ballpark. He comes, and on this pneumatic 1 year, he also is the one that comes and looks, you know, and he does the boilers, cleans the boilers out every year, and puts them all back together, get them filled. Any burner troubles that I have, he would be the one that would come and work on it. And we have lots of pneumatics over in these two buildings, and part of the jail is pneumatics also.
Is this the same individual then, or is that a total different individual?
Totally different guy. So that's John and this is Todd.
What's the cost of this one?
This one is $21,360.93. Can you pass that one around?
You have to have it?
Yeah.
Save me $21,000.
Scale of 1 to 10, how necessary? Yeah, it is necessary.
How warm do you want to be in the winter, and how cool do you want to be in the summer?
Exactly.
I'd move it.
Second.
Moved by Fishins, second by Sutton, to accept another Honeywell contract with pneumatics. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Just three? Just three constants, yep, just those. And then I had a couple other questions I would like to ask you on this. I wanted to know what you guys wanted to do. You know, we're gonna have to do something to the highway building for the tuck pointing.
I think we've heard that before.
Yes, you have. So now my question is, do you want me to see what an architect would charge to write up the specs for it? Or, you know, do you want me to come up with something that's going to be pretty, you know, just like I wrote up before the other specs, but it's, you know, I don't know all the stuff that they're going to have to use to do, and, you know, all the legal, what the terminology is going to be, you know, or are we better off to hire somebody to write the specs and to do the...
Two things. One, are we going to have the money after this, when we're starting to cut it? We probably want to look at the budget. And second, could you use the same specs that we did for the museum building?
No, total different buildings. A total different way they have to do it, because it's total different kind of block and that kind of stuff.
I know the architects talked
Yeah, I know.
an awful lot, and I just, we're in a
Yeah.
crunch.
Can you,
And it's something that, we can't let that building go.
I know,
The
I
shape-
realize that.
The shape that it's in, so.
can we just put it out on bids and, you know, the people that do that would have an idea of what they're looking at, wouldn't they? I mean,
Well, they're gonna have to come, see, that's why I was wondering, do I have to go and, like, write up a bunch of specs? Or do we put something in the paper that if you're interested in this, come and look at our building and then tell us,
Give us a proposal.
give us a proposal?
well, you can basically state kind of what you want done in a vague, I mean,
Kinda, yep, like an RFP kind of sort of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
and then at that point in time, we can advertise it and see if we have some interest and go from there without spending the additional funds of,
You need specs for an RFP too. You have to tell them
Yeah,
what
you
you're
gotta
looking for.
I gotta tell them what I want. I want to tell them.
Bid it. Yeah,
Can you bid it without hiring an architect though?
sure.
Yeah, you can, but I have to write up the specs
Yeah.
for it.
I think between blending you two here, that'd be good. Cheaper.
Anything's
Then we
cheaper
gotta
than
see
going
if
to
we
an
can do
architect.
it afterwards, you know, if we can't afford it, we can't afford it.
Yep.
Because the last time we did this was what, early 80s?
Mm-hmm.
And then it lasted another 20, 30 years.
And the building needs it.
Mm-hmm.
I would entertain a motion to have Judy write up some specs and to advertise, to have the work done.
So moved.
Second.
Motion carried by Sutton, seconded by Kipling. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So then I'm assuming, you know, I was gonna also bring up the painting in the jail. I have to get that red iron primed and get all the jail cells. That was gonna be one of the last projects to do, is painting all the jail cells and get that whole area done over there. But I'll have to come up with something and write something up for that then too.
Thank you.
So, okay, that's two things that I'm gonna start working on to get kind of going this year.
And the
then
jails you had in your budget, the painting for those, but not for the highway building.
I got some in there for that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes, I did. Yep.
As of today.
As of today, I do. But as of today, you guys are spending more out of my budget, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds good, thank
Not
you.
by choice.
Sorry, Judy.
I know. All right.
Thank you, Judy.
Yeah.
Okay. Max, you want to go through a few of your things?
Does anybody want, they sent 2 copies of this? I'll have both of them in that
Good thing
room.
we've got
Okay.
it.
If you want to take them.
We're taxing the farmer, we wouldn't have near enough money.
Yeah.
Anything on the RSP for the clubhouse?
We,
Dwayne?
He just got a copy of it, I think, last Thursday from Derek,
Okay.
and so I would guess that they're gonna be, he indicated they'd be signing it as soon as he got it. But I think it was I could look, it was either Thursday or Friday, they finally got him a copy of it
Okay.
for signature.
when I saw Derek just went by here, I don't know if he had anything to add to it, but.
Okay, minutes from joint and general from January 2nd.
Move. Second?
Moved by Fishback, seconded by Sutton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That was in unison.
Claims and payroll.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, seconded by Kipling. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The HR report.
Can we, before we do that, can we have an exec, I'd like to have an exec.
Can we put the
before
HR report in the end?
Can you do your other stuff next?
Okay.
Every year, just to cover, so we don't have to do it every time it happens, we declare the scrap metal for sale from usually maintenance. I don't know if maintenance will have any this year, but highway always has
Yeah,
scrap
like
metal.
that, something. Yeah, I'd move that.
I'll second it.
Moved by Fishback, seconded by Hanson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I would recommend doing an operating transfer of $1 million to the highway at this point, because with payroll, they'll probably be out of money
very shortly. I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Hanson, second by Sutton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
There was a lease option renewal for Cheryl Erickson for the hayland at the youth camp. I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Hanson, second by Kippley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries to accept the lease.
The sheriff had a clothing policy in the packet.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kippley. Any discussion in regards to the clothing allowance? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Let the record show it's an enthusiastic second.
So that's gonna go to the new people.
Will you buy my pants too?
Their budget
Oh,
will be
we've had this
reviewed.
conversation before.
Every year, 5 times a year.
Anything else, Max?
Centennial Village, they do, I figured out what they did wrong. But since we're on the cash basis, they owe additional $208.92, but that'll hit 18 revenue. So what you're dealing with now is the original amount, the $10,109.50.
Have they already paid that?
Except for the 208.92.
I think we can let the 208.92 go, can we?
Well, they owe it.
They owe it.
But it comes under our budget now, right? Whether you rewrite the other check or?
No, they just...
That was with the 208, the 10,000.
Oh,
it was, okay. Okay. 94. Last week I had this amount. Oh, there it is. $9,900.18 for 2017 revenue. You need to determine if it's assigned or unassigned fund balance. I'll be right back.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Thought you knew.
No, I don't.
Profits from Centennial, can't we assign that to fair? A fair account? I thought we've done that in the past, to fair improvement.
Fairgrounds improvements. Yeah.
Did we put it,
Maybe.
didn't we put it to the whole grounds and Centennial
Yeah.
was part of it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But
So the
in
208...
bigger account though, for like camping,
We can put
grandstand.
that towards the Wi-Fi.
But has that
We got
already
50 years to
been
go.
assigned to the 2017 revenue, or is that all coming into, to what? That 9,000? That's what you're doing today? And so that'll go back into the revenue, considered revenue for... No. The 9,000 revenue is there. For financial report purposes, we have to know how you want it designated. Okay, assigned, that's limitations resulting from intended use. Amounts restrained by government's intent, generally set by governing board or management. Okay, unassigned is residual net resources. Only the general fund can report a positive amount in unassigned fund balance. Conversely, any governmental fund in a deficit position could report a negative amount of unassigned fund balance. Total fund balance and general fund in excess of non-spendable, restricted, committed, and assigned would be unassigned. So...
Either goes to general fund, if it's unassigned, it goes to general fund then.
Right, and if we wanted to assign for the fairgrounds improvement, that's assigned. That's assigned. And that would include the 9 and the 208. We'll do the 208 when we get it, when, probably next fall, when we get the 2018 revenue. Okay.
So we're doing last year's now, what we're doing with it?
The 9,000.
Which amount are we
The
designating?
9,000.
I would make a motion, we put it in our fairground improvement fund.
Yep. As assigned.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kippley, second by Sutton to assign the funds to the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
is all I have, except the HR report.
Gary?
I sent you, we got our electronic document for service agreement for OneSource. I'd ask for give Chair the approval to make that digital signature on that email for that. They're the ones that do our background checks for out-of-state personnel. The rates didn't change or anything, but we seem to be getting more and more of these electronic signature memos that they want it done that way, so.
Which is great.
Yeah, I like the...
I'll make a motion to approve the civil signing.
Motion by Sutton, second by Kipling, to have the chair sign the agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
City of Aberdeen wanted me to just remind you of their January 11th meeting Thursday for their open house for their growth plan, so they just wanted us to mention that again, that anybody that's interested in participating in that discussion, 5:30 to 8 p.m., January 11th, at the Eagle's Nest.
Okay. 5:30 to 11.
5:30 to 8 on the 11th. And just wanted to let you know that there has been, Paul's getting some quotes on what it would take. Treasurers feel like they're still having some issues on the loud noise, being able to hear citizens and things, so we're looking into some quotes for some telephones and other things to try and help with that situation. So we'll talk about it farther once we get some quotes and stuff.
Have they been working with the treasurer's office to kind of see what's what
Yeah,
and stuff?
yeah, exactly. So we'll hopefully some telephones or something will help offset some of those sound issues. With that, I just need an exec for personnel.
Before we go into exec, Gary, would you follow up with Robin Bob Zine on the traffic lights that he proposed we at least consider partnering with?
See if he's back. I know he was planning on going to Frisco, Texas for the championship, so.
I know he was here last night for the joint
Okay.
meeting, but he may be gone, but
He should be back then.
if we know something before the fair, then that's just one less thing the fair board has to commit to for the rental of those lights.
And then I think the other topic was the Tahoe that McMillan had. I think
Yes,
that was going to be moved to the assessor.
there is a 2007 John McClellan's Tahoe that is available if you'd like to do something with that. And
I think we should move it over to the assessor's office. There's no
Okay.
need for it down there. So
Put
I'd make
the-
that motion if we
put
need
their
a
other
motion.
one on
Yeah,
surplus.
you'd need to transfer the inventory. I'd move it.
Second.
Sounds good.
Moved by Hanson, second by Fishback to transfer the Tahoe over to the assessors. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I think Susan wanted to explain a little bit about their key situation.
Well, I think it's just a lot easier to come and visit with you all in person since we seem
Well,
to be...
we didn't mean to keep you sitting there that long.
No, that's okay, that's okay. Last week, and I think all of you were included in some of those final emails, and it's just some concerns that we have that in terms of our fonts. So we would like to bring it to the table so we can get it resolved, so we can get our fobs and we can all operate on the understandings of what our premises are. To enlighten, just to kind of recap some of what was in that email. Paul wants all of our master keys. And we still have doors upstairs that are not fobbed, and I don't know that they're going to be fobbed. And I think I put them in the email. One of them is our file room, which is accessible for the clerks, where all of our files, current files that they currently have, are kept. The door that accesses the law library is still under lock. The people that access that have offices back there, is myself and one of our court reporters. Then there's also the door that leads into the scheduling office, which also leads back to the secure door for Judge Portra, but that main scheduling office door is locked. If you go up to third floor, the door that leads back to the jury room and to Judge Myron's office and to what we refer to as the third west courtroom is also locked. So we have a variety of doors that are still locked. So that was my purpose in asking, can all of our judges, myself, and Garrett, keep our master keys so we can get into those locked doors?
How many doors are you thinking you have, Susan? You're talking, the way I'm counting was maybe 6 or 7.
The door leading into the jury room,
Mhm.
that's one. There's also a conference room up there.
And that has an outside exit, I mean,
That's a key.
entrance,
That's
okay?
a key, yep.
These are all key to life.
These are
right?
all
Okay.
key doors, yep.
Mhm.
The scheduling door
Okay,
on second floor, the law library access door,
right.
which has 2 offices back there, which
But
are not
one
fobbed.
door that enters into them.
No, there's 2 doors. I have an office, one of my court reporters have an office that are not fobbed.
But to get from the public area to that back access door, those have doors before you get back to those doors?
That's why.
So really, you don't need those could be whatever.
They
Because
may be whatever, but they're not accessible because they're locked right now.
Right, so if you have a key to the, like you come in this door, and there's 3 more doors in here.
Right, one
That's
master
all you
key
need
will
is
get
that
us
one.
into that, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Our
Okay.
master keys will get us into that. The people that have, like Michelle, who is the court reporter that's next to my office, has just a key that will get her into the law library.
Right,
That
okay.
also gets her into
That-
her
that's
office,
changed,
so
okay.
that's okay. But if we relinquish those keys, we have no access.
But I think it'd be cheaper just to rekey those doors and give them new keys to that. Wouldn't it?
Rather than letting them keep their current key.
Well, the current key gets them into the doors here, outside here too, doesn't it?
For those of us that have them, not
That's what I
everybody
mean.
has them. The judges have theirs, I have mine, and Garrett has one. Now, the clerks and such as Michelle, she has a key that just gets her into the law library door and her office door. Okay? That's the only one.
But if we're securing it from all the whole courthouse, and those rooms up there are specific just to you, why would you need a key that could enter all these other ones that are secured?
Because I'm gonna have a different key for every single door.
Unless we key to like the doors that you're talking about.
And then
In lieu
Michelle's
of
got
fobbing
her-
them. In lieu of fobbing
Well,
them.
then you're gonna, well,
So right now, it's a master that gets in everywhere?
It's the
Yeah.
same master that we all
Yeah.
have probably.
She has the same master as we have.
the other caveat to that is if this system ever goes down, the security system, what other alternatives do we have to access this? That is why I'm asking that the 5-6 people that we have asked to keep those master keys, that we remain proactive in being able to get in here and conduct our business if we have to. As an example, we have in place what we call a to-go situation. If we have any catastrophic events, every clerk's office is equipped to pick up and move. We have a designated site, off-site, if we ever had a catastrophic situation. But we have to be able to get into a building, and we have to be able to get our stuff, and we have to be able to exit to those situations. If the system is ever hacked, or if there's a power outage, and I've lived through plenty of those in Day County that have lasted longer than a day, we have no way to get into this building. And I know Mark, rightfully so, if the sheriff, because I've been told, well, the sheriff is going to keep all of that.
Sheriff and dispatch both have keys off.
If this were to happen, they're going to have a whole host of other areas they're going to focus on, understandably so. They've got a jail full of people that they're going to be looking at, not us. And so that's why I'm asking. We can relinquish our keys to our clerk's offices because they don't have the master keys. Once we get backdoor fobs, we can get in the back door. We're fine with that. We'll even use our own fobs. But I think we're looking to be proactive in a situation that if it occurs, we're not going to have to be reactive to things.
So instead of using your key on the outside door, you'll use a fob?
Oh, definitely, definitely. But we can't get the fobs. That's why I was hoping to do this last Friday, and we can't even get the fobs because we had to have these conversations so that the commission could approve that. Which, in listening to the security issue this morning, if we're going to be locking those doors, I would hope, and I was hoping Paul would still be here, that we will be given access to double swipe our security doors so we can unlock them if we need to. And I know he's gonna say, go back to the commission and ask the commission what they want to approve on that. So that's why I'm here, so that we can clarify exactly what we're going to do.
So you're talking people, somewhere around 7 people that would have keys?
All 5 of my judges, Garrett, who is the chief court service officer, and myself as the administrator. That leaves you 7 master keys. And granted, we may never use them. I would be glad to, because if everything was going to be on here, this will be the key to come and go. But the concern is, what happens if something hacks the system and takes it out, or the power goes out and we have no way to get in but with a key?
So let me ask you this, is it necessary to have all 7, or is there a way to control that situation with a master key in one of your offices somewhere? Three of you have a key, or?
Well, somebody's got to have a key to get in first,
Well, but I
even if we
mean,
left these in the
if
house.
you got,
designated
if you
area.
got, rather than have 7 keys, can you get by with 3 of them? I guess, that's just the thought I had, is just, as long as somebody in the court system has a key, if there's 3 of them, chances are all 3 of you aren't going to disappear at one time, I don't think.
Well, I sure hope not.
That's just, I'm just kicking it out there. We're trying to, in other words, the more security we try to prove, the more keys we have out there, the more risk we have of letting something happen. And I guess we're looking at the big picture. If they want to lock this thing down and be secure, we're just looking at some of those options. And I don't know if you can live with that or not. It's a thought.
Because of the amount of the judges that travel, with the unknown certainty of what could happen, whether they're here or whether they're not here, at least we know with myself, who's here 99% of the time, at least if one of the judges are gone, we've got somebody that's got a key. To answer that question, if I said yes, sure as the sun comes up in the west, or comes up in the east and goes down in the west, something's going to happen and it's not going to work. But we are not going to leave unlimited amount of master keys out there, and we can collect, I would say, the majority of the keys once we get the file. It's those master keys and trying to be proactive in a situation that hopefully we'll never have to find out if it works or doesn't work. And those master keys, there again, it's going to get us into the rooms that are already locked. Unless you want to go through the expense of rekeying everything, which I've heard you talk about this morning. There again, it's another additional expense. Once those doors are fobbed, which I'm under the impression from listening to this morning's conversations, they will eventually be fobbed. But they aren't now, and I'm not getting fobs because I'm not handing over keys, and I can't hand over keys because I can't access our work areas.
So I guess what you're asking is that you'd be entitled to the 7 master keys for
That
that
we have.
particular name per people that you have, and the rest would be turned in.
Yes.
And I think the names, the names have to be recorded not only in Gary's office, but probably in the sheriff's office, so if he needs to contact one of them, he can.
Yes, and that's fine. I think there's no problem with that.
One that should probably be noted in those contracts that they won't be used for all these doors.
Yes.
Only for the,
I don't
living
think they
those.
work on this side of the building.
But I mean entrance.
But it should be noted that these are
You
for
don't think
access
their
to
keys
those
work
doors
over there, you
only.
mean, or-
Preemptively. I don't think so. Pardon me? Does your key work out, did your key work out on this side of the door? I have no idea. I've never tried. I've only ever accessed the back door. The back door is all they've ever accessed.
Well, either way, I think it needs to be documented as to
Judy
who has it.
documents
I think it
every
already
key
is, yeah.
And
and
then
every person.
that they're never used
We
on
just
the
went through
outside
this
doors.
earlier.
You know everybody's
So
got a
how many keys are we
master key, don't
talking
You know
Sue, that would be
everybody's got a
turned
master
in?
key.
Are
You
you
gotta-
guessing?
I'd have to go back. Judy and keeps look. it.
It'd be most of your
Right.
employees up there
But
that...
nobody has them anymore.
Gary can control that when he picks them up.
We'll know if there's people using.
Yeah, if you need
We
to.
went through, we just took an inventory of those probably this summer, because Judy asked to who's got master keys, and so we went through all of the on-site Brown County employees. The only off-site employee that we have that would have one would be Judge Foreman, because of his travels here.
Does anybody on the commission see a problem with granting the 7 keys?
As long as everything's documented, like Rachel said, I have no problem.
Okay.
I guess that would be the case. We'll give Gary the go-ahead to retain the 7 keys and get some fobs going, and
And then as
the
long
other
as,
keys should be turned in.
and then as long as we have access to double swipe those courtroom doors once if they're going into lockdown, so we can double swipe them, to unlock them if necessary. There was one more other question that came out of court services, because we have court service officers that work weekends in order to be in compliance with court orders on some of their clientele. If one of them were to forget their fob to get in, can they access through the jail without jail staff feeling that they're compromising their position with their fobs to let them in?
I think we always have an IT person available
Yeah,
to get
I
those.
phone, or that, I just, you're making exceptions on
You
your
call
security
them.
again, you know.
Yeah,
I've had to
they're
go
always-
back home and get my fob from my office.
The
Yeah.
problem you have with that is, in our policy, I think there's going to be a fine if that continues to be an issue. Well,
They're not county employees, so you can... they
well,
fall under
but I guess
ours,
it's a
so-
double standard. If you're going to fine the county employees for getting their fob, and all of a sudden you're going to say, well, you got grace over here.
Well, we're not losing it. Somebody, we're thinking of, we've got several that travel, probably 25 miles to get to the office. And if they're working a weekend, they get here and think, shoot, I forgot my fob. Can I at least go to the jail, ask the jailer to let me in so that I can get to the office? Granted, that's not going to do them any good once the office fobs are in place, because they're not going to have a way in which to get into the office. But if they only need to get in to meet up with a probationer that maybe needs to have whatever type of a test that needs to be done, that can be done at the jail, and they can leave, they wouldn't have to go to the side.
They probably only have to do that once, go back home.
I would recommend they get the fob for the back of their phone, because they're probably not going to forget their phone.
Well, that's interesting, because we haven't been told that we have that option. We've only been told we have one option, and that's this option right here.
Oh, okay.
So if you would like to give us those,
But it
We're
doesn't work on
maybe-
my phone, so
there may be some people that would be more than happy to take that option.
Susan, is there anything that keeps them from doing the testing at 24/7 at the Millen Building?
Yeah, because these don't fall into those programs.
Okay.
So if I know that we can keep those 7 master keys, that we will have access to unlock double swipe our courtroom. I believe we have one employee in court services that does not have access to double swipe to lock a door. We would ask that we have the authority to request that as well, because sometimes all the court service officers are gone. The only thing that we have there is support staff. There is one support staff member that I'm aware of that does not have the ability to lock a door.
Somebody's got to have the ability to do it if everybody else is gone. That just makes common sense.
So I guess the question is, if somebody forgets their fob, are we going to allow them to come to the jail? Which, I guess it's secured if they're coming through the jail system or the sheriff's department, I mean. And chances are, somebody in that department's going to know these people. I mean, they must work together.
They do.
So they're going to know who they
would
are.
be coming alone, or would they be coming with other people too?
I think an easy solution is they go through the jail, they do a UA in the jail. They use the jail bathroom half the time anyways.
Right.
So, if they can't get to their offices anyways, once it's fobbed, they're not gonna be able to go get their UA equipment anyways.
Yeah.
That'd be an easy answer.
So, and that's what they're asking, to at least let jail staff know that they can let them
I
in.
think jail staff lets the public in on the weekends for visits, it's in that
Well, I
lobby
think
area.
in the agreement it says you can't piggyback in anybody else's fob, or you can't let anybody else in
I
unless
think
they're
it
coming
says
in
that
with
they're
you on
on
business.
official business, yeah.
Yeah,
So
if
I
you're
think
coming
that
in
would-
with them on business.
I think that would apply, personally.
As long as they feel that the court service office staff is coming in per se business, and they can
Now,
let
the
them in.
county ones are a lot different than yours,
Yeah.
they have a lot more detailed
Right.
details inside.
Yeah, and that's what the concern was.
Okay. So does that answer all your questions?
As long as jail staff say, yeah, we can let court services in.
Okay.
I will
And you
let-
guys have badges of some sort too, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, and actually, court service officers have a whole different type of a badge than what the rest of us do.
Yeah, as long as they're identifiable.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Issues resolved?
I believe so, unless
Sounds good.
Gary's
I'll
been in on the
contact you as
emails
soon as
if
we
we-
get out of the meetings this morning, and we'll get you rolling.
Okay.
This week's issues are resolved.
Yeah.
Oh, Sheila. I'm nervous, say I didn't give you any.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I assume you want the father-in-law?
Take off.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I didn't bring yours. Well, I'll get it to you.
I would entertain a motion to go into exec for personnel.
Can we do like a 2-minute break before we do
Sure.
that? Then I'll...
We'll have a
Second.
short break. and
Aye.
we'll-
Okay.
Aye.
Moved it.
Sutton.
As it should be.
Sorry, scheduled long ago.
That's okay.
I think it's open session now.
Oops, I need to grab my pen.
Got a special one. You want one, Dave? Come on, I'm the resolution killer.
Yeah, there were no action as a result of exec, legal and personnel.
Oh, my blood sugar's
Okay,
getting wild.
the first half, we did not have Gene in, and then we brought him in for the second half.
For the personnel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would entertain a motion to accept the commission, the HR report.
You want this for resignation?
It's dismissal.
Okay.
Move it.
So, second.
Moved by Kepley, second by Sutton. All in favor of the HR report as it's written?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have before us Gene with the assessor's office, wants to give us a little breakdown of items that are, probably need a little small explanation of. And Gene, would you like to kind of discuss that?
We do have a market neighborhood of Brown County. We do split Brown County into 3 assessment neighborhoods based on market, not assessments based on market, but neighborhoods based on market, which means that we're relating one portion of the county to another portion of the county as far as how it relates market-wise to create neighborhoods. Our office feels that the market itself indicates or shows that there are limiting conditions that come into play, whether they be climate, topography, location, whatever they are. And at this point, I'm not real sure what any of them necessarily are, other than that the market definitely indicates there are some. Yes, ma'am.
So in those townships like Columbia and Claremont, where we had record sales numbers, the 10,000, the 12,000, the 13,000 an acre, that's where you take in some market? Does that?
Correct. And there again, those kinds of things, when you do market, you look at a indicated top dollar. So, for example, if a .6 sells for $6,000 and a .4 sells for $4,000, they both are based off of a $10,000 top dollar. It specifically, or it could categorically be in the same category. If that .6 sells for $6,000 and that .8 sells for $16,000, you obviously can't work off of the same top dollar, and therefore we create a neighborhood from one to the other. Not that we're assessing off of that top dollar, but we are indicating a neighborhood comparative from one to the other off of a top dollar. In doing this, if we do lower a portion of the county from that top dollar, because of limiting conditions or market or what have you, we fall to a point where we don't come up with the number that the county gives us, where we're this year supposed to be assessed at $2,269.09 per acre on average.
And you get that number from the Department of
And we
Revenue?
get that number from the Department of Revenue. We also get our top dollar from the Department of Revenue for crop and grass. So we have to work off of that top dollar and get to that average assessed value, but if we lower a portion of the county, we don't get that average assessed value. So we make that adjustment from that top dollar, and then we slide the whole grid up to where we match the number that we are required to reach.
My question is, if
this is, if we were doing this illegal according to our former assessor, he's been here a year, why didn't he come in and tell us this was illegal instead of going to the paper? Did he tell you guys you're doing it wrong, or?
He initially had some concerns, and I did discuss that with him, you know, quite often at the beginning of his term here. He did request that I do another market analysis to verify where our neighborhood should be, and he seemed satisfied with them.
It's his call.
And we're ready to print within a month or so. We were ready to go with it.
And he saw no problem.
And he seemed to have no problem with it up till now.
One of the other issues with assessment, your assessments go to your local board, which would be your townships.
Correct.
And your townships are kind of in charge of checking that the neighbors' properties all kind of meet each other's is lying. That's part of a township official's job, is to say that John Smith, same quarter as across the street, isn't assessed for $50,000 more than what his is.
Correct.
So the process starts with the localization of the people that are in these townships that kind of know what's going on. And being out of township myself, one of our jobs is we kind of look at everybody's property and kind of make sure it's all in perspective to everybody. And then I guess if people have a problem, the next step is it goes to the county.
Correct.
So people have to understand that it's just not the assessor pulling numbers out. There's some localization with the people in the townships that have a little control over this, and what they're trying to help you out as far as the value you're gaining by the local board.
Correct.
Okay.
Historically, with the same map, we've had about 3 properties go to OHE since productivity's come into play. None of them have come from the southern tier townships. The group that's being raised above highest, or being raised above top dollar. The only ones we've had have been 1 in the mid-range and 2 in the upper range, and the situations come up. Some of the complaints about other adjustments, or not complaints, but they had discussion about other adjustments we've made have come up, and our decisions have been maintained at every level using this through the various stages we've had to go through. Historically, it's worked. We've had neighborhoods, these 3 neighborhoods since 2011. We had 2 neighborhoods the first year of productivity in 2009, and prior to that we had neighborhoods ever since I've been here in 1998, which are based off of actual market value, when we had to use actual market value. There's always been township adjustments where this tier of townships has always been assessed higher than the northern tier, particularly the northwest.
Quite a difference in the soils and the
Right.
productivity between the northwest and the...
Topography and everything.
Yep. Yep.
So the 3 Office of Hearing Examiner cases, they all found in favor of the way Brown County was doing their job.
Let's say 2 of the 3 did. The first one did not.
Okay.
The first one was in 2010.
Okay.
There was a property owner that owned property on each side of the line.
Okay.
They appealed the property that was on the high end side of the line, and they won. And that decision was that at that time there was nothing in the wording about using sales to set assessed values. Going into the 2011 assessment year, that wording had been changed, and we took advantage of it. We actually added another tier of townships to kind of make a buffer strip so it wasn't such a drastic change from one to the other.
Sure.
We've had 2 others go since then, and the county's been upheld each time.
Okay.
Why on the worksheet for implementation do we use, for 18 assessment year, we're using years 2009 to 16 to get the Olympic average, but then in 2017 we used 07 to 14. Why did we skip a year? Or is that just a typo? Shouldn't we have at some point used 08 to 15? Or does that drop off because the high and the low?
Yep.
Okay.
There'll be a high end that drops off.
Okay.
best of my knowledge, you know, they'll use the year that's most recent, like 2017 is not available to set 2018 values yet, so you're gonna be 2 years behind. So there's always that 2-year lag, and you're always gonna, you know, and right now, we're in a stage where we have about 3-year bubble in the middle that's got some really high,
Yeah.
really high years that are gonna have to float through the system. This is between 17 and 18, we are gonna see an increase in cropland of roughly 4.3%, and in rangeland of about 7%. Explanation, I guess I'm not real sure. It's just kind of where it lands, the numbers we're given. Cropland, or rangeland is based off of cash rent value as opposed to commodities and such, and apparently pasture land rent has increased more recently than it had back in the day.
That's because livestock's better
And it's a little drier and people buying hay, yeah.
Well, that's good information, thank you.
Yep.
Makes it easier to explain when people
One of
ask.
the other reasons pasture land is up, a lot of pasture land was torn up and put into crops.
Not
Pasture land
much
is
available.
less available, so when you have a commodity that's less available, naturally the price drives up.
Supply and demand.
Thanks, Gene, this is
Thank
good
you,
information.
appreciate it.
All right?
Dean, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Gary, anything else?
Nope.
Max, anything else? Anything else before the commission? Anyone in attendance? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Hanson to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
I got it.